Cool. So, hello everyone. This is Golden Heroes session 0. That's just for the YouTube page. Welcome back, everyone. So we've got Sarah Jane and we've got Kevin, and we have got Mike with us at the moment, and hopefully Karen will be joining later. Hello, everyone.
Hello.
Hey, that was like we practiced that. That was good. Okay. So what we're doing. What we're doing tonight is we are doing some character creation for Golden Heroes. Yep. Sorry, Mike. Just want to say?
I was going to say, as this is a Star Trek thing, Star Trek channel. We're actually
it is the Star Trek channel.
Yeah, we are actually on the ship's holodeck, working out a new campaign to play on the holodeck.
That is certainly one way of looking at it. Yeah. I hadn't thought about that.
That's the way I'm justifying it.
So what we're doing tonight is we're doing character creation for Golden Heroes, and I know that one of our players at least is completely unaware of what Golden Heroes is, just as far as I'm aware. And I know that obviously Mike and Kevin have both played Golden Heroes, and Kevin's one might say a master of Golden Heroes. I think that's not overstating it. So what we're doing tonight, though, is we're going to just do some character creation. So what Golden Heroes is a superhero RPG from originally from 1984, at least the version that we are playing, which is the Games Workshop released version. For those purists of you out there is an earlier version of the Golden Heroes rules, which was floating around in a handmade version, but this is the specifically the 1984 Games Workshop set that we're going to be playing. And the aim of this campaign is to run through and probably intermittently, given that we will at some point go back to Starship Vigilant, but intermittently run through some of the Golden Heroes adventures. My plan is to run the Golden Heroes adventures that were published both separately for the game and also the White Dwarf material and maybe a couple of other bits depending on how things go. But to facilitate such a campaign, then obviously we're going to need some superheroes, and that is the point of tonight's session. Now, those of you listening and in the room who aren't familiar with Golden Heroes character creation, Golden Heroes is character creation is random, which means you don't need to turn up with any ideas. Hopefully, the dice rolls will assist you. And the plan tonight is that we're going to run through character creation for all together. Basically, I've got I've printed up some little sheets here, so I'm going to take some notes as we go. But I would encourage you, if you're able to grab a sheet of paper and a pen. I'm going to do the math. So as we go through, there is some once we've got the characters rolled, there is some math to do. But don't worry about that. I'm going to take care of that. I will populate character sheets and fill in stuff. And all I really need from you guys is some dice rolls and then a bit of thought as to what those dice rolls tell you about your character. But we'll go through that as we proceed. Obviously, if you have any questions, please jump in. It'll probably be too much of me talking tonight because I'm going to be guiding it. But if you've got any questions or anything, of course, jump in. So what I'm going to do first of all is, for those of you listening, this isn't going to help you much, but on the VTT, I've just switched over to a sample Golden Heroes character sheet, and what we'll do is we'll just talk very quickly through that so that you're familiar with the concept. This is a character profile for Deadpool, which I did recently, but the point is just to demonstrate what the character sheet looks like. So Golden Heroes is it's definitely an old school RPG. As you can see at the top of the page there, you've got 4 attributes, which are ego, strength, dexterity, and vigor. So ego is basically your character's willpower, essentially. So obviously the higher number, the better. Attributes as a base go from range between 3 to 18 because it's a 3d6 roll, which we'll come to in a minute. And obviously the higher your stat, in theory, the better. And strength obviously is just a measure of how strong your character is, and strength can be increased through superpowers. So a normal human range of strength is from 3 to 18. So obviously you can see Deadpool is actually pretty much the top range of human strength. Similarly with dexterity also Again, Deadpool's dexterity there is right up near the top of the human range. And then finally we have vigor, and vigor is your essentially it's a measure of how fit and healthy you are, and this is also how we determine hit points, which we'll come to in a bit. And you've got some other attributes on there, so you've got movement score and defense class and dodge modifiers and all this stuff, and all of this will become clear. None of that is really that important for tonight. Again, as I said, I will go through once we've rolled up the basics. I will go through and write up the other bits and bobs. And so no need to worry about any of that. And then underneath the attribute block there, you've then got usual attacks. So what this tells us is your character will have certain attacks depending on what superpowers you have. So everybody has the ability to hit with their fist or foot, hand-to-hand attack. And then that column, those columns there tell you the weapons class, which is how you determine how easy it is to hit somebody, how much damage you do, and any notes. And again, as you can see, obviously Deadpool's got a few different types of usual attacks. So he's got katanas and he's got guns and he can jump into combat. Again, all of those terms will become clear as we go through the games. Then underneath that, you've got a block of superpowers and advantageous backgrounds. So again, that's something we're going to determine tonight. So superpowers in Golden Heroes are determined randomly, but you do have an element of choice. So what we're going to do tonight is everyone is going to get 8 power rolls. And what that means is you basically you can randomly roll up to 8 superpowers. But during that process, you have some choices. So if you roll a superpower, for example, which has higher grades available, although you're going to roll the powers randomly, if you pick a power that has higher levels, I'll give you the choice as to whether you then want to increase that. So let's say you randomly roll that you've got super strength. I'll say to you, would you want to increase that? Because super strength, there's like 3 different grades of super strength. So you can go, you can spend a power roll to go up to grade 2, or another power roll to go up to grade 3, and so on. And so, as I say, I'll give you those choices as we go through. Not all powers have higher grades available. Some do, some don't. Some powers also will require you to spend power rolls automatically. So, for example, I think if you randomly roll magic powers, then that automatically costs you another power roll from your pool of available power rolls. Advantageous backgrounds, which are listed there, they are also paid for with power rolls, but they're not strictly speaking superpowers, but they are things that give you some sort of advantage. So you can see again, Deadpool has the advantageous background of immortal because he's functionally immortal, because as you know, if you've seen the movies or if you're familiar with the character, you can chop him into little pieces and he will come back to life. And there are other advantageous backgrounds. You could be filthy rich. So Batman, for example, would have an advantageous background, which means he's extremely wealthy, and so on and so on. One other thing about superpowers to be aware of is that if you, when we've rolled all of your powers and you're looking at that list of powers, then your job is to try and come up with some sort of a rationale as to how they can all work together. So obviously, if you roll chameleon ability, stretching, and teleportation, you might find that you can rationalize, you can explain away teleportation and chameleon ability, but you can't think of a reason why you would have stretching. So in that sort of scenario, then you're basically will be required to ditch superpowers. You just say, well, I can't rationalize those, so I'm just going to get rid of that. So it might mean that you end up with a character that has less than the full 8 power rolls, but that's inherent in the game. Is your main job is to try and rationalize it to some degree. I'm not going to be too strict about it, but obviously the idea is for the randomness of it to kind of guide your creativity a bit, and it will give you a list. You'll come up with some powers and you'll go, okay, I can see he could be a teleporting ninja or something. And at this point, that's all I'm really looking for. Again, we can work on other bits to do with background and stuff later on, but this is really just about getting the numbers down and to give you some ideas. Next, underneath that on the character sheet, you have an equipment list, and basically characters, I think, can have up to 3 pieces of equipment, which are just suggested by the powers that they have. You don't have to pay for them. You just say, oh, he's going to have, in Deadpool's case, he's got katanas and he's got guns and apparently a toy unicorn. And then the notes section at the bottom is just a summary of the character's background. So that's basically what a Golden Heroes character sheet looks like. There is also some other elements to it. There is one of the reasons that I wanted to run Golden Heroes is I want to get into the campaign system, which again I'm not going to go into too much detail with tonight because again it's something that will come out of your character's background. But there are campaign ratings that means that over time as you play your character you can improve his or her abilities. And they also suggest story beats and story elements based upon those campaign ratings. But like I said, I'm not intending to go into that really tonight because that's something that will come out of the character once it's finished up.
And utility phases.
Yes, I'm going to try. So yes, I'm glad you brought that up. So again, your character will be able to specify that you're doing certain things during a day. So you're training or you're patrolling or things like that, and those can give you some mechanical benefit, and you can train in your powers, so you end up having you can do different things with your powers. So a good example would be Spider-Man learns how to fire like web balls with his web shooters, because when he first has his web shooters he just swings about with them and he can tie people up, but as he develops his abilities he's able to then fire projectiles from them and to do other things with them. And that's what, because this system was originally written to simulate the sort of Marvel comics of the late 80s, and so its power level and its kind of assumptions is very much based around X-Men, Spider-Man, Captain America, the Avengers. It's much more Marvel friendly than it is DC friendly, for those of you familiar with what that means. But I've managed to twist it, and I've managed to write up characters from both DC and Marvel pretty successfully with it. I'm currently in the middle of I mentioned it before, but I'm up to week 33, I think, of a random character challenge where I've been every week I'm just randomly coming up with a Golden Heroes character and trying to rationalize it and write one up. So I've been doing a lot of this over the last few months. But anyway, that's me with a big information dump. So is everyone relatively comfortable with that? Has anyone got any questions before we push on with the fun stuff?
No, I'm fine.
Sounds good
Sarah
to
Jane,
me.
how are you feeling? Sound good? Okay.
Yeah, it does. Sounds good fun.
Lovely. Okay, so if you go to the next, we'll go to the next page. So that's the superpower table. We're going to come to that in a minute, but I'll just give you a second to look at that. So Golden Heroes is definitely old school in that it uses a variety of dice. So for the first thing that we're going to worry about is, so if you've got a bit of paper written down, first thing I need you to do is just write down the 4 attributes, which is ego, so EGO, strength, dexterity, and vigor. They are your 4 major attributes. Now, to come up with values for those powers, then they are a 3d6 roll. So basically 3d6. Now, if you want, it's up to you how you want to handle this. If you've got dice with you, I'm going to trust you, and if you want to just roll them and tell me, or if you want to use the dice roller built in, or if you want to use the dice roller that I've sent you the link to. If you want to use the online one, at the top of the page where it says virtual dice roller, all you have to do is select the number of dice that you want to roll. You click on roll dice, and it will then give you a number between 3 and 18. So for those first attributes, all I need you to do is right. So who's rolling there?
That's me.
So what was that? 8. That was 10, right? Okay. So
yeah, that's 10. That was for vigor.
Right, so for so what we're going to do is we're going to do the powers across the page. So we're going to start with ego. So I guess if we get right, who's that?
Who said crap?
Sarah Jane, right? So that's 13.
6, 4, and 3. Yeah, 13.
13, right? Okay, Kevin, do you want to roll as well? I don't know if you can
So
tell me.
I got write down. So I got 13 for ego, 9 for strength, 12 for dexterity, and 13 for vigor.
Okay. I mean, if all of you want to just do that and just tell me what you get, that will work for me as well.
I think I need new dice.
Easier if we do it that way rather than trying to do them one at a time. So I've got Kevin's attributes written down. So
oh my god!
Right, Sarah Jane, what did you get there?
I've got 13 for ego, 12 for strength, 4 for dexterity.
Yeah.
I'm just going to roll vigor. I don't like this. 8.
8 for
No.
vigor. Okay, don't worry, there are options. Don't panic.
I'm going to be
Okay.
a slug.
Right,
Well,
Mike, what have you got?
so you could go for wheels for legs or wings for arms.
Love it. I think I'll stick with slug.
That's not good.
Is that 6 for strength
Yep.
and
No, that's
dexterity?
no, that's 6 for dex.
Oh, 6 for dex.
Should we roll
what
up
was your
backup
strength?
characters?
What was your strength, Mike?
Strength was 12.
Okay, and then vigor.
How do I get to lose the things? Because I want to clear that.
It's all right, just
Right.
roll your 3D. Just roll your 3D. Oh, yeah. Go on.
Is it showing up on that? 1, 2, 3.
7.
Oh, 7.
Okay, so I'm just going to summarize. So, Mike, what I've got for you is, and we'll go into this in a minute. So, for Mike, I've got ego of 10, strength of 12, dexterity of 6, and vigor of 7.
Yep.
Kevin, I've got ego 13, strength 9, dex 12, vigor 13. And
Yep.
Sarah Jane, I have got 13 ego, strength 12, dexterity 4, and vigor 8.
Yes.
Right. So the first thing we tend to house rule. I think Kevin does this the same way. Is that if you wish, you can later on, you can come back and swap any 2 of those results around. So obviously, there's no point in doing it at the moment because you don't know what sort of character you're going to end up with. So obviously, if you have a character with psychic ability, for example, you're probably going to want your ego to be your best stat. So therefore, if you think you're going to end up with a psychic character, you might go to me, oh, can I change my my dexterity and my ego around because my ego's high. I want my ego to be higher. And equally, if you've got a brick, you want your strength to be higher, and so on. So, but we'll come back to that later. So don't worry about those for now. And obviously, some of those attributes can also be increased through superpowers. So, I agree that dexterity 4 at the moment is not looking particularly good, but that is fine. It is still that is basically within the normal human. That's within the human range.
I feel
Obviously,
like
it's
I've
pretty
rolled
low.
myself, so that's
Yeah,
fine.
Captain Couch Potato.
it is pretty
That's
low.
me. Woohoo!
But as I say, that's fine. It's
You've rolled up a keyboard warrior. Yay!
there you go.
Plus 10 to Twitter.
Just don't be
Oh,
posting.
cancel
Just don't be posting about Oasis getting back together. That's all I'm saying.
Joker's on the
Okay.
run again. Time to cancel him. That's my superpower.
Okay, so there we go. So that's the first step. So what we've done is we've come up with your attributes again. There are options to modify those. So the next thing to mention is going back to that. I'm just going to go back to the character sheet again. So you'll notice that on your character sheet, underneath the 2 columns underneath dexterity and vigor, you've got HTK and HTC. So HTK stands for hits to kill, and HTC is hits to coma. So in Golden Heroes, you have 2 different type of hit points. You have hits to kill, which is your your kind of actual body health. So when your hits to kill is down to 0, you are effectively dead. And hits to coma though is temporary, is like stun damage. So most attacks will do a combination of hits to kill, hits to coma. So for example, if you hit somebody with your hand, it does way more hits to coma damage than it does hits to kill, because if you punch somebody, you're not likely to cause them any permanent damage, but you might knock them out. Whereas if you hit somebody with a katana or shoot them with a gun, then that attack you're going to do way more hits to kill damage, because that is doing actual damage to your body. So those 2 numbers are derived from your vigor skill. So at some point, what we'll do is we will wait until we've gone through superpowers, but at some point you will then roll a number of d6 equal to your vigor score. So for example, Sarah Jane, you've got a vigor of 8. So as things stand at the moment, you would roll 8d6 for both hits to kill and hits to coma, and that would then tell you essentially what your hit points are. But again, we can come back to that later, but just so you understand that distinction. Okay. Right. So I think it's time to get onto the fun stuff, right? It's probably superpower time. So I'm going to go back onto the Actually, first of all, I'm going to show you that this is the advantageous background table. So the way that this works normally is you can have a look over this list. So as you can see, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 different advantageous backgrounds. And as I said to you before, you're going to start with 8 power rolls. And if you wish to pick an advantageous background, then you can allocate one of those power rolls in advance. Now, I'm not going to make you pick a specific advantageous background. If you say to me, what we could do is we'll roll a couple of go around, roll a couple of superpowers, and if you think, oh, do you know what, I might, if you've rolled, I don't know, armor and flight, you go, well, I fancy making Tony Stark. Then you might say that to me, right, I want to pick an advantageous background and have rich industrialist or brilliant scientist mechanical or something, because that would obviously fit in with your power set. And at this, as I say, all you need to do is at some point tell me that you want to spend a point on an advantageous background, and then you can decide what that advantageous background is later if you wish. I'm not going to make you decide up front, because obviously you want to see the whole picture of everything that you've rolled. Does that make sense?
Yep.
Yes.
Okay, so
Yes.
what we'll do then, we'll skip back over to the thing. I think we'll do this one at a time, just because it's more fun just to go through. So the way superpowers work is on that superpower table, you can see there's numbers there so it's percentile dice. It goes from obviously goes from 1 to 100, and as you can see, it's broken down into different types of powers. And next to the powers, there are certain annotations. So if you see a power that has got an asterisk next to it, or more than one asterisk, that means that there are additional grades. So if you roll one of those, I'll say to you, do you want to think about maybe picking an additional level in that? And you can always come back to it. So if you say, oh, well, let's just roll, you roll a power, you get agility, you go, I don't know if I want to get agility grade 2, but if you roll a couple more powers, you go, actually, yeah, I think I'm going to increase my agility, then you can tell me, and then you can spend a PowerPoint on that. But generally what we'll do is we'll go around the table, get everyone to roll a power, see what that does for us. I'll give you a little bit of quick information about it and see where we go. Does that sound cool?
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Perfect. Right, who wants to go first then?
I'll go first. Everybody,
Is that you, Mike?
Yep. Right.
Okay.
2d10, yes?
It's percentile. So
Yeah, let's see how bad this stands up. There you go. Power armor.
64. Okay, so 64 is skills. So I'm going to make a note of that. So
That's
what
right.
skills are there's a bunch of skills that you can pick from. A skill basically just gives you, it's what it sounds like essentially. So in Golden Heroes terms, skills are very, very vague.
Knitting, fishing, canoeing, simple skills.
All that stuff. The ones listed in the book are as follows: computer knowledge, disguise, escapology, gymnastics, hide in shadows, locksmith, pilot, surgeon,
Steve.
vocal skills. Hold on a sec, Mike.
Sorry.
Player's choice is if you roll it. So normally what you would do is you would roll them randomly. Again, we can come back to that. I would suggest it's up to you if you want to pick if you've picked or if you've rolled superpowers and there's a skill that fits into your to your power set. I'll let you pick it, or you can just roll one randomly.
What I was going to say is, can I wait and do that once I see what else I can?
Absolutely. So I've just made a note to say that your first power roll is skills.
Okay.
There is obviously more levels of that, so you can get up to, you can literally pick as many skills as you want, but I'm assuming you'd rather wait a bit and see what comes down the pipe. Cool. All right, so we'll bank that one for now. So Sarah Jane, what would you like to? Would you want to go next?
Yeah, I'll go next.
You want to go for it? Give me a percentile dice roll. Let's see what you get.
90.
90.
Weapon skill. Okay. So what that means is basically your character will have a weapon of some sort, and using that weapon he or she will have some benefit to that. So for example, Captain America has weapon skill shield. Going back to Deadpool, you can see that Deadpool's got weapon skill grade 1 with katanas. And basically, It just makes him more effective with that weapon in combat. So you can decide what the weapon is depending on your rationale. But we'll keep that one standing by for now. Go on then, Kev. You're next.
Okay.
42.
Magic. Ooh. Right. So as you know, magic. So looking at magic, you can see there's not only is there 2 little asterisks, it means there are more levels available, but also magic immediately costs 1 additional power roll.
Yep.
So so the rest of you have all got 7 power rolls left. Kevin's got 6 because magic is such a potentially powerful ability that it automatically costs him another power roll. And we'll come back to magic because you can roll spells and things. We'll come back to that. We'll go into the detail of it later. But as I say, for now, magic too. So far, Sarah Jane's got weapon skill, Mike's got skills, and Kevin has got magic. So right, Mike, we'll go back to you. So this is your second power roll now, if you'd like to go over that. 91. Oh, weapon skill. Okay.
Okay.
Cool. So weapon skill, as I've already covered, means you have skill with some sort of weapon. So this is
Now,
Yep, go on. Hello. Mike, did you say something?
He rolled silence.
He literally did. Are you there, Mike? Interesting. Is he still on Discord? Yeah. Okay. Well, listen, we'll move on. Weapon skill rolled. So Sarah Jane, you're next. What have you got?
Okie dokie, let's see.
The suspense
89.
is killing you. Oh, weapon skill again.
Oh my goodness.
Okay, so that means you've got weapon skill grade 2.
Excellent.
So okay, so yep. So that just means again, that's the maximum I think you can go with weapon skill. So if you, oh, actually no, not. There is a grade 3, but we'll go with. We've got 2 for the moment. I mean, again, we'll see what that does for us. Again, that suggests some sort of,
Bigger
ninja
weapon.
or whatever. That's all good.
Okay.
Right, go on, Kevin. Do you want to roll next?
54.
54 is probability manipulation. Oh, well, that fits in well with magic, doesn't it?
That's lucky.
Yeah. So what probability manipulation basically means as a power is that you have the ability to influence luck. So I think there's 2 flavors of it. There's conscious probability manipulation, which means that you can, and I know you know this, but I'm just reciting it for the benefit of the others. Probably you can either consciously make things happen, or you have the ability to unconsciously. So in other words, your character is just lucky, and he or she may not realize that she's influencing probability. But anyway, that would seem to fit in pretty well with magic, I would argue. So that's a good place to be. Right, so we're back to Mike again. Mike, are you still there? Hello, Mike. We've lost Mike. Okay, we will leave Mike in the ether for now. Sarah Jane, we'll go back to you then. So if you'd like to roll me another one.
87.
Vigor.
Hurrah.
back.
Excellent.
Happened there, but I'm back.
Okay, Mike, I'll come back to you in a sec. Just bear with me.
Okay.
Right, so vigor, Sarah Jane, just basically means that will you get to randomly increase your vigor score, which obviously is good because it means your hit points will go way up.
Excellent.
So we will
Needed that.
bank that one for now. Mike, so we'll go back to you. Do you want to give me another roll, please? 52. Precision. Excellent. Well, that certainly works well with your. So your character is definitely turning into a skill monkey at the moment, isn't he? So precision, I mean, just basically means that he essentially its effect is that you have the ability to choose the right spot to hit in combat. So you nominate one of your attack types that you have. So it might be hand to hand, it might be a weapon, and it just means that you get you're better at hitting somebody with that chosen attack form. Okay, right. So we've got. Let me just double check. So we've got 3 for each of you. Right, Kevin, back to you then.
So I've got my dice. 60.
60 is shape change. Okay. So shape change. So as it says, as it suggests on the tin, shape change is the ability to exist in more than one form. So you can. There's 2 types. There's 2 flavors to it. You have free form shape change, which means that your character can essentially change into pretty much anything. Doesn't give you any real benefits. It's like disguise. So In other words, you can make yourself look like a lamppost or a giraffe or whatever. Doesn't mean you get the ability to cast light or to, eat from tall trees, but it just means that that's what your appearance becomes. There's also the ability to have specific shape change is the other option, and that is something like the power that, say, Captain Marvel, like the proper Captain Marvel, would have. In other words, he says Shazam and he turns into a different form. He literally turns into a different person. And normally that would be that your superpowers would be tied to your changed form. But again, that's a decision you can make later. So there's only one, I believe there's only one level of shape change. So that's good. Right. Okay, lovely. So Mike, we'll go back to you, get back into the order we were in before. So this is your fourth roll. So once we've made this roll, then I will have a chat, ask you about looking at whether you want to increase any of your powers. Right. So you've gone for strength.
No, that's come up as teleport, isn't it?
73, is it? 73, that was strength. 71 and 76 is strength.
Why did I think it was teleport? Oh, never mind.
So strength is, as it says on the tin, it's super strength. It increases your base strength. Again, we make a dice roll to decide how much strength you get. That obviously increases your damage when you hit somebody, your ability to lift things. Super strength also is available in multiple levels. So you've got grade 1 strength, but you can buy additional levels in strength if you want to be even stronger.
Okay.
And you get, if you in this game, you can literally lift, battle cruisers and jumbo jets and stuff. If you get high enough in level. So, but okay, so that's a good place to be. Right. Okay. So Sarah Jane, we'll go to you next. So if you want to give me another one.
66.
Skills. Okay. All right. Skills. Perfect. Okay. So skills, as I said, there's a bunch of skills you can choose from. Mike, when I mentioned skills to you, I also didn't mention that I'm also happy for you to come up with your own skill if there is a skill set. So in other words, if you think there's a type of skill that would work for you, I'm happy to work with you to come up with that as well. We'll go through the list again of what's available in the book, but it does specify that you can come up with your own skills as well. So you don't have to feel restricted to those. Okay. Right. So Sarah Jane, do you want to go again?
Sure. Oh, I meant to hit that quicker than that.
That's all right. Yeah, go for it again. It's all right. That's 66.
Do you want me to do it again?
Yeah,
that's what I just rolled, isn't it?
I mean, 66 is skills again. So if you want to roll it, I'd probably roll it again if you want.
Okay.
34.
34. Heightened senses.
Okay.
Ooh.
Excellent. So heightened senses is what it says. There's a whole gamut of different things that means. It can be telescopic vision, microscopic vision, super hearing, animal senses. Again, I'm definitely getting a vibe from your character of it being something like Raven the Hunter, or that kind of
yes,
having skills, weapon skills, heightened vigor. Yeah, that definitely is. That's kind of where my head's going. Now, at this point, also, just have a think that next time we go around, if there's anything you want to increase, so in other words, if any of those abilities that you've rolled already, you think, I might want to buy a higher level in them. So looking at yours, I mean, vigor is one. You can buy additional levels of vigor if you want. Heightened senses, you can have. There's multiple types of heightened senses you can have. Obviously, weapon skill, you've already got grade 2, so I probably wouldn't be looking to increase that. And again,
I wouldn't mind a better dex skill than 4.
Yeah, don't forget also what you can do with your dex is you can move it around. So, for example, in your case, and again, we're going off the piece a little bit here, but in my head, I would probably look at switching your dexterity with your ego, because your ego is, so it would mean that your character would be very susceptible to mental attacks. Just to be clear, ego is not intelligence. So this game does not have a stat for intelligence. Ego is specifically your strength of will. So you could certainly have a vigor, an ego of 4, and a dex that would give you a dexterity of 13, which would be way more healthy for you. It just means if you come up against Mento the Mystic with his psychic ability, he'd probably be able to take you out pretty easily. But that's again the way the comics work. Characters will have higher abilities in some things, lesser in others. So again, that's worth thinking about. So you may still. One other thing you can also bear in mind as well. If you buy the advantageous background, which is called previous training, that actually allows you to add, for each level of that you buy, you can add 2 to any one of your attributes or 1 to any 2 of your attributes. So, for example, if you were to buy previous training dexterity and you didn't want to move them around, or previous training, as I say, swap the stats around, previous training ego, then that would allow you to then at least increase your ego up to 6, which is much more the sort of normal level. So that's another option for you as well. But I'll talk to you once we've gone around once more, because now that you've all rolled 4 powers and more, now's the time you should think about if there are things that you want to increase, or if there are, if you want to buy advantageous backgrounds. Okay.
So I've rolled for my 5th roll.
Yeah.
I've rolled 09, which is claws.
Yeah.
And then so for the last 3, I think I'm going to buy the advantageous background of immortal, and then grades 2 and 3 of magic.
So you're going to buy.
Where's magic gone?
So you're going to go up to magic grade 3.
Yep.
And then the last one you said was immortal. Okay.
Immortal.
So that's to summarize for you, Kevin. Then, so that gives you magic grade 3, probability manipulation, shape change, claws, and immortal.
Yep.
That's your 8 power rolls. Just double check my math there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, 7, 8. Right, cool. So if you want to just bear with, we'll come back to you in a minute, and we'll go back around the table again. So, Mike, you have now rolled 1, 2, 3, 4 powers.
Yep.
So you've currently got skills, weapon skill, precision, and strength. So first question is, at this point, do you want to increase any, or do you want to roll again and see what you get?
I'm going to roll again. I've got an idea, but I'm going to roll again.
Go for it, yeah. 91 gives you another level of weapon skill. So that's weapon skill 2. Okay?
Yeah, that's...
So you can't... 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So if you ever think, I'll come back to you in a second. If you want to then, like Kevin did, just say you want to buy another level in this, that, or the other, we can do that, or you can go back to the random table again. So Sarah Jane, right, back to you. So you've currently got weapon skill grade 2. You've got vigor, skills, height, and senses. So you've spent 2, 3, 4, 5. So you've still got 3 power rolls to go. So would you like to pick some, or do you want to randomly roll again?
Would it benefit me to have an advantageous background of immortal? I'm not sure that would help my situation.
All it means is that you won't die through. So it doesn't actually help you with. It doesn't really stop you getting taken out. So in other words, it doesn't increase your vigor or anything. What it basically means is, though, you won't die from old age diseases, but you can still be killed. So it normally means that you're extremely long lived. So if you were playing in comics terminology, if you were playing, let's say, Thor, he would basically he'd be likely to have immortal because he's been around for thousands of years. And as I say, so in a fight, you can still get taken out in a fight. It just means that you don't die from old age or from anything like that. You can still drown. I think you can still die from unnatural causes, just not from natural causes, if that makes sense.
Yes, it does make sense. In that case, I think I will take previous training. How many of my rolls do I have to spend to buy that?
That's just 1.
Just 1.
So you're going to take previous training. So do you want to swap those 2 attributes around then? So do you want to swap your dex with your ego?
Dex and ego. Yes, I think so.
Okay, so we're going to make dex. Your dex go down to 4, but it's going to be 6 because you've spent that on dex, right? So your dexterity is now 13.
Yeah.
So your stats are now 6 for ego. Strength is 6 for ego is totally within the range of normality. That's normal human. Strength is 12. Dexterity 13. Vigor is 8. And you've already bought the superpower vigor, so that will be increased as well as part of that. So you've now got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So you've got 2 more power rolls to go. So I'll let you have a think about that. I'll go back to Mike. So Mike, how are you thinking?
At the moment, so the cost of advantageous background is 1 skill roll, yeah?
Yeah, it's just 1 skill roll.
Right, I'm going to take previous training because I've sort of got an idea, sort of like, is it Deathstroke, the sniper?
Yeah, perfect, yeah.
Because I'm looking at this and it's sort of like weapon skill, precision, and I was thinking previous training, military training.
So do you want to, what previous training does is, yeah, that's fine. And what that will
Yeah.
do is that will give, so I would add that to your, well, okay, so I'm going to give you the same option. So with your, here's what I would suggest. So looking at your
Yeah.
attributes, obviously you've got ego is 10, which is perfectly normal. That's in the range of normality. Strength is 12, which is good. Dexterity obviously is kind of average human, and vigor is 7. So what I would maybe think about doing is, because dexterity is the stat that drives your weapon attack, you probably want to swap dexterity out.
Yeah, can I swap? Else. Yeah, because I was thinking, right, the way I'm looking at it, if I swap dex with strength, okay, so that gives me a dex.
And because you've got super strength, that's going to balance that out.
Yes.
Okay, so what we'll do is we'll make your strength is currently 6 and your dexterity is 12. So what do you want to spend your previous training on? Which attribute do you want to increase? Because you get to increase an attribute by 2 with previous training.
Vigor, because that's the lowest stat.
Okay, that's perfect. So we'll take that up to 9. And I'll put vigor there. So, and then, as I say, we'll come back to strength. And that's a very smart move, because then that means you're going to get better than average strength because of the super strength roll. And your skill, skills, weapon skills. Yeah, exactly. I agree with you. That's definitely looking like a death stroke or a dead shot or that kind of character. So that works well. So let me just tally up where you are at the moment. So you've got 1,
make that 6 rolls.
5, 6. Kevin's got his full complement, and Sarah Jane, you have got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Right. So we'll go back to Sarah Jane. So where are we now, Sarah Jane? Do you want to roll another random, or do you want to pick something else from the list?
Can I see the list again, please?
There you go.
Let me
so again,
see.
Some of those powers that you've got already do have extra levels you can buy.
Okay. 78 stunner. I assume that doesn't mean what I think it means.
That's
not the Prage 3.
Wow, Chihuahua! What a stunner! No, it just means that you have some form of stun attack. So it can be a weapon, it can be like a touch or whatever. Essentially, it's a stun attack.
Okay.
But it normally in this game, it normally means it's a weapon of some sort. So, for example, I don't know if you're familiar with the character Blue Beetle from DC. He has what he calls a BB gun, and it fires like compressed air. But it's a stun gun, so it knocks people out, hits them with a blast of air. But that's a stunner. So that's how I would have. In fact, I did actually. I think I did write up Blue Beetle, and that's exactly what I used was stunner for that weapon. So that's how that works.
Head cord.
Obviously the proper one, yeah.
Okay, if you rolled 50, if you rolled 52, that's munter. That's the opposite of stunner.
Excellent.
Right. So do you want to give me another random?
In that case, could I possibly choose another level of heightened senses?
You certainly can. So we'll give you grade 2 of that. So that takes you up to 7. We'll go through those choices in a minute, so you can then pick what you want. Again, what I'm intending to do is, and I know if Ant is listening to this, I think Ant agrees with me. The original intention for some of these things is with the subtables that you get a choice, because the way that this version of Golden Heroes was written, my understanding, and Kevin will correct me if I'm wrong, but my understanding was Simon Burley's original intention was that when you got to these subtables where you would roll for things, he gave you he would always say you could choose, because obviously you need to fit what works with your concept. And so I'm going to go with that intention. So when you get to heightened senses, I will let you pick rather than roll randomly. But we'll come to that in a minute. So don't worry about that for now. But all you need to know now is you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 power rolls. So Mike, you I think are on the same page. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. No, you've got 6, right? So you've got 2 more to go. So okay. So what do you want to do? Do you want to random, or do you want to increase something that you already have, or do you want to buy another advantageous background?
I don't know whether to go random or not.
You can always go random. Again, it might mess things up, or it might help you.
And
let's be honest, if you roll a power that you don't like or doesn't work, you can just discard it. It might,
But can I? You said it's pick another power roll, isn't it, or advantageous background, or is it?
Yeah. So if you say to me, I want to pick another advantageous background, then you can choose that. That gives you some choice. So as you can see, you've got I mean, so you can pick at previous training again if you want. You could do that. You can pick previous training multiple times, as I understand it. So if you want to get that again, you can pick it again. That's another good way of increasing your attributes.
I mean,
or you can just randomly
going by the idea that he's sort of like the equivalent of a super soldier.
Yeah.
Sort of like a death shot. I mean, government contact would be good.
Cool.
But that
does give you a mechanical bonus. So you'll see it says on that sheet your character starts with a contact rating of 10. So when we were talking those campaign ratings that I mentioned earlier, one of those that factors into that. So that again, what it means is in game terms, it means you can call on. You have contacts in the government, so it might help you get resources. It might help you get information. It's very vague. It's not meant to be too specific. It just means that, as you say, if your rationale is he's some sort of, was maybe government trained super soldier, then yes, it would make perfect sense that he has, I don't know, general somebody in the army that he's still friends with who was his, mentor or something. It's really up to you how you interpret that. But
okay. Can I have a look at I'll take one more random and I'll take government contacts.
Okay. So, if I write down contact government. So, contact government. And then we'll go back to the random table. So you've got one more to pick. So yeah, go for it. Obviously, the dream roll here is if you get a 96 or higher, then that means you can choose any superpower you want.
Yeah, that'll be armor.
Go for it.
Be kind. 38. I've read that before.
Larger. Interesting.
Okay, so how can I rationalise
that? That could, again, that it could certainly help you with the super soldier thing, because that would mean he basically is physically larger and stronger. But we'll look into that in a minute.
Okay.
So that is your 8. That is your 8 power rolls. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So that's your power rolls done. So you're done. So Sarah Jane, we'll go back to you. So you've still got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. You've got one more to go. So would you like to pick one from the add backgrounds, or would you just want to throw caution to the wind and roll a random one?
Caution to the wind and roll a random one, because why not? 9.
Claws. Oh, okay. That
brilliant.
That might work.
I like it.
Yeah, that might work. Cool. Excellent. Okay, so there we go. So that is the Golden Heroes, the superpower. So the way it works now, one thing I do want to mention at this point is I've said to you all that obviously the way that the thing works is the idea is you take away your ideas, and what I'm not expecting anyone to come up with a full concept tonight. Hopefully,
so
what you
I have, because I thought about superheroes the last 50 years.
50 years.
So as soon as magic popped up, I've gone through some old scenario notes, and I have something.
Okay. Well, let me come back to you in a second, because you're kind of, there's a couple of things we need to iron down. So let's what I was just going to say to the other two is, I'm not expecting you to kind of say to me, right, this is my character. I think it's fully reasonable for you to take away the concept and to have a think about it. What we'll do is we'll go through the, as I say, some of your powers have got options. So we'll go through and look at those. And if you're happy to pick options, you can pick options. If you need more time, I'm happy to share with you the stuff from the rulebook that you need, and you can make your own decisions. Because obviously, what I don't want you to do is to be forced into a character which you don't feel comfortable with, or you're not really that enthusiastic about. The other option, as I mentioned, is that I've been, in fact, there's a couple of options. I've been, as I said, I've been doing a random character challenge for the last 33 weeks. God help me. So something else I will do is that I will also make available to you those characters that I've because I've basically just randomly rolled Golden Heroes characters. They're fully formed, backgrounds, artwork, and like I say, there's 33 of them floating around out there. So if after having thought about the character that we're putting together tonight, and you're kind of like, do you know what, I don't really like it, I'm quite happy to work with you separately if you want to just go through the process again and start from scratch and do another character, you're welcome to do that. Or if you want to look through the list of the characters that I've come up with randomly, and you decide that you'd rather pick one of those to use, I'm also totally cool with that. The purpose of tonight really was just to give you a little bit of familiarity with the system and what it looks like and how the mechanics work. And one of Golden Heroes kind of selling points was always the random character creation, because the idea is it's there to promote creativity. So you might come to the table and go, someone says, you want to play a superhero, and you're like, I mean, if you're Mike, obviously you're going to play Iron Man, right, Mike? But
maybe not. No, I don't know. Doctor Doom seems fairly good as well.
Yeah, but you know what I mean. Not you have everyone has their sort of thing they like. I mean, I tend to like, I tend to like the sort of Batman, Moon Knight type character.
You mean do I like powered armor characters? Yes.
Yes, you do.
Short answer.
And with Golden Heroes, the idea is that you can turn up at the table. You don't have to have any idea in place, and those random rolls will give you somewhere to start. And looking at these characters, actually, I think we've actually been pretty lucky, because again, I can see there's a strong theme. So as we said, Sarah Jane again, and I'm not going to overrule your thinking, but in my head that looks to me like it's sort of Black Panther / Kraven the Hunter, that kind of thing.
Yep.
Mike's got Deadshot, a great character concept, and Kevin's got Magic Dude. And so those to me are all perfectly workable concepts. But I also fully, again, we'll be willing to give you a bit of space to go off and have a think about it. And as I say, I will put together character sheets and do the math and do the do that side of it. All I really need you to do is have a bit of a think. But let's go back through the rest of these mechanics then, and then we'll come back to Kevin, who's already got his concept, which I'm not at all surprised about, because like myself, Kevin and I spend way too much time thinking about Golden Heroes. I think it's fair to say. Okay, so Mike, we'll talk to you first. So first things, as I mentioned.
Okay, can I questions, right?
Yeah, please.
What skill? I'm looking at. Can we sort my strength out? So what does it? So if I put in.
Let's do strength. That's fine. We'll go through it however you like. So first of all, strength.
Yeah. So
your character has a strength to a degree undreamt of by normal mortals. So how this works is you're going to gain. I need you to roll 1d10. Okay, and then we add 10 to that, so that gives you 15 points of strength. So that means your strength is now 21.
Okay.
So what that takes you into the realm of Captain America and above. You're stronger than the average human. With a strength of 21, you can essentially lift up a sports car or a small helicopter in the Golden Hero system. So you can lift kind of roundabout up to 1,000 kilos.
Okay.
And you can basically throw. You can essentially throw a caravan or a speedboat if you feel the need to do so. I don't know why you'd want to throw a speedboat or a caravan, but you could in this game.
I've got a thing on bullseye,
and you could throw it. Yeah, exactly. Okay, so and that also gives you that will also give you damage bonus, which means that in Golden Heroes, for every point above 15 in your strength, you get a +1 to your damage. So when you roll damage,
+6 damage bonus.
So basically, any attack that you roll using the normal hand-to-hand rules, you will do despite whatever you roll as part of that attack. You then add 6 to it automatically because your strength. And again, that strength range is, in my head, that's kind of Captain America. So it's not you are stronger than a normal person significantly.
Yeah.
Okay. So that's the first thing. So we've dealt with strength, so that's great, and that's strength grade.
Right, larger. What does that do?
Okay, let's get to larger. So larger is the character is permanently large or giant size. They can be either larger, i.e., broader or heavier, or taller, which can be just decided when you're rationalizing him. So if the character is taller, so there's 2 options. You can be taller. And that will means you're 50% taller than your original height. So basically what it means is he'd be abnormally tall.
Yeah.
You gain another 1d6 plus 2 strength and another 1d6 plus 2 vigor. The other option is you can be larger. and what that means is that
Or
your
broader.
weight is increased, but your strength and vigor increased as above. So you still get that bonus to your strength.
Yeah.
The 1d6 strength and vigor. But it means you're not. So in other words, he's stockier. So he's like he'd be like, I guess, like Wolverine. You know, like the kind of.
I'll go stockier.
Okay, so we'll go with We'll go with it's larger or
broader.
Hold on, taller or what are they? It's larger. Yeah. Okay. So bear with.
Broader.
So
yeah.
Right. So do you want to roll? Give me two individual d6 rolls. First one will be for strength, and the second one will be for. So strength is 4. So that means your strength is now 25, and your vigor is now
12.
12. Great stuff. Okay, cool.
12. Hang on. So what did you say? What was 25?
So strength is now 25.
Okay.
So your strength was 21 with your super strength. It's now gone up to 25.
So that increases my damage bonus to 10.
Yeah, correct. And your as I say, your vigor. So your vigor has now gone up by sorry, it's 1d6 by 2, wasn't it? Okay, hold on a minute. So actually, your vigor's gone up to 14, and your strength is actually 27 because you rolled a d6. You rolled a d6. I forgot to add the 2. So there you go. So your strength is 27, and your vigor is 14. Okay.
Right, so it's 27.
So that's plus 12 damage bonus, and that is kind of in the realms of. So let's see what you can just. It's always fun to look and see what the game says you can do with that. That also, by the way, that extra strength also gives you damage dividers, which something I'll deal with when I do the math. But essentially, it means some of the damage you take gets reduced just because he's tougher. Essentially.
Right. Okay. So.
Hold on a minute. What did we say? Strength was 27.
Yes.
So that means he can basically now lift a sports car or a small helicopter. You can throw a sports car or a helicopter, and you can lift like a light aircraft or a saloon car. So you can lift a couple of tons basically.
Okay. So then that gives me the only other ones I need to work on is
weapon.
Yeah, weapon skill. So what does that do? I've got that level 2 weapon skill.
So what weapon skill? Okay, so what weapon skill does? And Sarah Jane, I think you had weapon skill as well, didn't you?
Yes.
So weapon skill. Okay, so weapon skill from the book says the character is skilled in the use of one particular weapon. What it basically means is that depending on the type of weapon, and you get to pick whichever weapon you like. So you can pick. So, for example, in Sarah Jane's case, and I know we're jumping ahead a little bit, but I would suggest you've got claws, right? So you could use weapon skill with your claws, which means you'll be better at hitting with claws because they're a weapon. They're assuming they're not a.
Okay.
So assuming that you rationalize them as being part of your costume, like I say, if you go back to the Black Panther example, he doesn't have claws like Wolverine has. He has claws built into his suit, so they're a weapon. So if you use attack with your claws, weapon skill gives you a bonus. The way it works is that all weapons have they have modes of use. So depending on the type of weapon you have, like melee, missile. And when you have to pick one of those modes, so for example, using the claws example again, they're a melee weapon. So you would say that with your weapon skill, you would say melee mode, they attack with a higher weapon class, which means they're more effective. So you're more likely to hit if you're using your claws in melee mode. So with grade 2, Mike, you get the same benefit. So in other words, you get to pick, once you've decided on what sort of weapon you have, you pick a mode. So again, obviously, if you've got let's say you're going to use a gun, then you would presumably say in missile mode you get the bonuses because that's you're shooting with it, which is what you want. So in addition to the benefit of having it at weapon class 4, you also get an extra damage modifier of +2. And you also get weapon class 4 in 2 types of mode. So if you were again using a rifle,
4, it's 2.
Yeah, weapon class 4. But don't worry too much about that. I will work all of that out.
Okay.
All I need you to think about is what sort of weapon he's going to have. And again, I'm not expecting you to tell me tonight. You just need to think about it.
It's basically going to be some kind of rifle, isn't it? I suppose if he's a military.
And I'll let you come up with a fancy name for it, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But that's how that works. So the only other thing I think you really need to worry about is skills. So let me go back to the skills list, and again we'll go through that quickly. So the skills that are in the book are as follows. So you have computer knowledge. Now, again, I did allude to this when we talked about this game originally, but my head, this game is going to be set in the time that the game was released, which is the mid-80s. So that's going to mean you're not going to have laptops, you're not going to have home computers, you're not going to have smartphones, you're not going to have any of those sort of mod cons, no internet. And so computer knowledge means that you're going to be somebody who is literally a computer programmer who works in he works in a government lab or something. And all your computers are going to have tapes and printouts and stuff. Okay, so that's computer knowledge. Next one is disguise, which just means that you're able to impersonate other people. Again, there are rules around it, but basically, depending on how alike you are to the person you're impersonating, you can. There's a probability as to how well you can impersonate them. There's the skill of next one is the skill of escapology. Which just means that basically there's no trap, lock, chamber that you can't escape from given sufficient time. Hide in shadows is the sort of power that Batman would have, which basically means that you can automatically, if you're able to basically be overlooked when you're standing in the dark or in the shadows, unless your opponent has some sort of super ability. And again, that's the sort of a skill that Batman has, creeping around, the rooftops and so on. Next up is the skill of gymnastics. So gymnastics means that you're a natural gymnast. You're so good that you're like an Olympic champion. You can walk tight ropes, swing from buildings, jump from flagpole to flagpole. What it means mechanically is that you gain a dodge modifier of +1, and you also get the option to swing or somersault into combat, gaining a damage modifier for that. So it just means you're basically, again, Batman probably has gymnastics because that's the sort of thing he does. Next up, you've got locksmith, which is, as you'd expect, it basically means you can open any lock at any time. And then you've got the option of pilot, which is.
Can I interrupt you for a second? Karen's just popped up.
I've seen the message. Yeah. Oh, that's fine.
Okay, so you were saying.
Okay, so you've got pilot, which just means you can fly any aircraft, pretty much. Then the next one up is surgeon, which means you're a highly skilled and accomplished surgeon. Then you've got vocal skills, which means you can you have like the skill of ventriloquism and you can impersonate people's voices and so on. Now, those are the skills that are listed in the game. It's up to you whether you pick one of those, or if you want to think about it and propose a skill to me, given what you've seen there. So skills is what they mean. So it means, yes, escapology or something like that. It doesn't mean you suddenly gain, lightning power or something, because it's not a superpower, it's a skill. I'm happy if you want to think about it and come back to me, or if you want to come up with your own. Again, it's not
the only thing I can think of giving you these sort of like because I say the idea, if it's the early 80s or something,
mid-80s,
I figured this guy was basically created for the Vietnam War, but it was after the war.
There's one thing I will throw out though. Don't forget, Golden Heroes is predominantly UK set.
Right. Okay. So that makes it okay. Fair enough.
Maybe he could have been created for the troubles in Northern Ireland, or even for the Falklands War, because this is like a couple of years after the Falklands War.
That works.
So Golden Heroes, generally your characters will be the characters are going to be based in England and in London specifically.
Yeah.
So just bear that in mind as well. But I'll let you think. You don't need to make any decision right now.
Yeah, I must admit I like the idea about the troubles, but.
Yeah, I mean, again, it's
anyway,
it's totally it's totally viable. And again, I'm happy for you to go off and have a think about it, and let me know what you decide. Okay. Right. So let's skip back over to Sarah Jane. So sorry, Kevin, I will get to you, but as you've already figured it out, I'll you can put your feet up for a bit. Okay, so Sarah Jane, right? So going through your list. So again, same for you with weapon skill. So. Your first skill you roll was weapon skill. So again, all you need to do is decide which weapon that is. Now, again, I would suggest to you, because you've got claws, you could use claws, or if you want to come up with a different weapon, again, a gun, and a sword, a knife, whatever. You don't have to pay for that with power rolls. You just tell me.
I was thinking bow and arrow.
You can do that, yeah, sure. Bow, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
Perfect.
but I did like the idea of using it with claws. Sorry, go on.
I was going to say that has, if it's England, that's got a certain Robin Hood vibe to it, hasn't it?
Yes, absolutely.
No, it does, and I'm all in. I'm all over that. I again, like with Kevin, Kevin more so than me. I know Kevin's more of an expert on this than me, but I also like to try and tie in,
mythology and
the Englishness of it, and particularly, yeah, exactly, British mythology. We've all both Kevin and I have come up with characters, based in Celtic mythology and all this kind of stuff. I once did a Wolverine clone, but he was called Hedgehog because Wolverine's not very British, is it? So he was Hedgehog, but he had claws and was essentially was a Wolverine clone. But and that totally works. What we'll do is let's park it. We'll put bow for now. And if you were to go with bow, then as I said, that means basically that in I would presume it would be in missile mode, which is the most common mode to be using. Just means that basically that any attack is more likely to succeed because it's weapon class 4. And again, because you've got grade 2, that means also it gets a damage modifier. So I think because a bow's a two-handed weapon, he would actually get a +5, or she would get a +5 every time you hit with your bow and arrow. So that's worth thinking about. Again, we don't have to make any decisions right now. We'll just park that for now. So the next thing up is vigor. So on this, you're going to roll for me. So what I need you to do is roll a d6.
Just one.
Just 1d6, and then we're going to add 6 to that. So, oh, lovely, 6. So 12. So your vigor has now gone up to 20. Okay.
Excellent.
So your vigor is now 20. So we'll come back to what that means in a minute, because again, this is where the big dice comes in.
Rosy cheeks.
What's that?
She has rosy cheeks.
There you go. Yeah, perfect. I'm totally good with that. So that just means again she's got.
It sounds like a porn star name.
Rosy cheeks. It's not really a superhero name, is it? Okay, next up we had skills. So again, we talked about skills. Again, I'll just give you the list of skills, but again,
I've written them down. I would like gymnastics, I think.
Perfect. Okay. Right. That just again gives you extra. So yeah, she's more agile, which is great.
Yes.
Okay. And again, let me just double check. There's nothing I need you to decide on that. And the next thing we're going to look at is heightened senses. We'll come back to that in a sec. So yeah, gymnast just means that basically, yeah. So natural gymnast, like an Olympic gymnast, gets a dodge modifier, which is always good. So when someone's shooting at you, you can get out of the way, and can swing or somersault into combat, and that gives you a damage modifier. So basically, if you're going to hit, you go in and hit somebody, you do like a bounce and a spring, and it gives you more momentum, so you do more damage when you hit them, basically.
This is great. Cool. I can see her in my mind's eye already. This is great.
Perfect. Brilliant. Okay, so. Brilliant. So next up, we've got heightened senses. So grade 2 with heightened senses. So what heightened senses does for you is as follows. So heightened senses, it just means that you have got one or more of your senses is developed to an unnatural degree, and what you can pick from, there's a whole load of them. So for example, because you've got grade 2, you can pick any 2 of these. So for example, you can have animal senses. So that just means that all of your senses are acute. So it means you can hear a twig crack at 50 meters, or spot a leaf moving in a thick bush, or you can follow a scent. Again, we keep talking about Wolverine, but Wolverine would probably have animal senses because he has those kind of senses. You could have radar sense, which is basically Daredevil. So sonic ability. You basically send out sonic pulses. You can have super hearing specifically, so it means you can, hear a fly breathing 10 meters away. You can identify people by their distinctive heartbeats. You can track villains in darkness or smoke, and so on and so on. And you can also helps you see through. If you come up against somebody who's got, for example, invisibility, you could probably hear them breathing and stuff like that. Next, you could pick super sight, which is essentially telescopic vision, which means you can see anything up to the horizon in great detail, so long as the view isn't obstructed. You can pick scent, super smell, which again means you can track people by scent. You can tell who somebody's met within the last 24 hours based on this spell, like a highly trained bloodhound, basically. You could have super taste, which just means you've got an extremely sensitive sense of taste. Touch, which means you could like read a newspaper by touch or feel microscopic cracks in the surface of objects. You can also select infrared vision. Essentially means you can track people by heat emissions from objects and people. It also gives you limited X-ray vision because it means you can see anything behind light cover, such as people hiding in bushes, behind thin doors, and so on. You'll be able to detect them. You've got microscopic vision, which enables you to see things in great detail close up. You can also have the sense emotions sense, which means you can sense the immediate surface emotions of any creature within 20 meters. Sense energy, which allows you to pick one type of energy from the energy attack table, and you can detect that at 100 meters away. You can sense energy field. So, for example, you can sense the layout of electrical wiring in a room or a device. You can sense field manipulation. That is a superpower, field manipulation, which probably wouldn't be much use to you. You can sense life. So you can detect life forms within 100 meters. Sense magic.
Human tricorder.
Yeah, essentially human tricorder. Perfect. Way to keep it on theme as well. So that's good. Sense magic, which is within 100 meters, you can detect any use of magic, any magical devices or magical spells, and also the option to sense psionic powers. So there's quite a few to choose from there. Again, I don't mind if you want me to. I can send you the details. You can have a look at your own leisure, or if there's any that jump out at you now, I'm happy to.
Did you say I've got to pick 2 of these?
Say again.
Did you say I need to pick 2?
Yeah, you've got the ability to. Yeah, there's because it's you've got grade 2, so it just means you get to pick. Yeah, you can pick multiple, so you've got 2 to pick from.
Would she, given that her ego is only 6, is she likely to be able to sense psionic power? I think she'd sense it and then run very quickly in the opposite direction.
I mean, yeah, maybe that. And again, yeah, you could certainly. I mean, again, if her origin is somewhat, mystical in, talking about English mythology and so on. So if she is, I mean, because again, I mean, I think again, Kevin and I both as well come up with characters who, let's say, they come from the fairy species or something, so they've escaped from the Fey world, and yeah, I mean, I would be happy with that. Would work for me if that was a way you wanted to go and say that she can detect.
I was thinking of that and animal sense. If she's
I think
got
animal sense is I think animal sense is a very good choice, especially given what you've already come up with. We'll go with animal sense. So that just means she's basically good at, so again, it gives you a wide range of things. Very hard to be snuck up on because, she can hear things like, say, here, you can, you've got heightened sense of smell, sight, and hearing, basically. It says, the description says, such a character is virtually impossible to surprise and can never be caught unawares by an attack. So you can't be ambushed unless there's mystical means or something which is preventing you from detecting them. But if you're creeping through a warehouse and there's 3 thugs hiding to ambush you, you'll better smell them or hear their heartbeat, or so you won't ever be ambushed. So that's a good one to have. And then and then you want to go with sense psionics, did you say? Or are you still thinking about that one?
I think about that one. If you could send me the list, then
yeah, I'll certainly do that.
That would be great. I didn't manage to keep up with you typing at that time.
No problem. What I'm going to do, what I will do is, certainly for you and Mike, I know Kevin's got the book anyway. I'll send you a kind of I'll just send you a summary of the powers anyway that you've rolled up, just so you've got all of the information there. And again, I'm not trying to overwhelm you, but it just means you can look at those choices. And again, I'm familiar with these powers, but it's good to have that information in front of you.
Brilliant.
Did you have immortality?
Me?
Yeah.
No, you decided against that. You in previous training, didn't you?
Yes.
Right. Okay. Because there is if you exclude Robin Hood, there is if you you went for immortality, you could. There is another myth that we have floating around that you could use as your basis.
Which one?
So Arthur Machen wrote a story called The Bowman and Other Legends of War. and his idea was during the Battle of Mons, some archers from Crecy turned up and saved the expeditionary force that were there. Because he didn't write it as this is made up fiction, hundreds of soldiers came back and said, I saw the Angel of Mons. So you could actually be an aspect of that bowman, that Angel of Mons from Arthur Machen's story that was made up, but it kind of has there's so many soldiers thought they saw it as to believe the Angel of Mons exists, if that makes sense.
One could also
So
say that you wouldn't need to
Mons,
have the immortality. What you could rationalize is that your character is simply a reincarnation.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yep.
So in other words, she hasn't literally lived for however many hundreds of years, but she's been born as a normal person, but then has been inhabited by that spirit. So although she doesn't actually have the benefit of immortality, although in narrative terms, the character is reborn into each generation. That makes sense?
It does, yeah.
So then you wouldn't need to change any of the stuff
it's
you've
entirely
already
up to
picked.
you. Entirely up to you. That was just outside of. I was just thinking, what other bowman characters do we have that are female outside of Robin Hood, and the Angel of Mons? Whilst it's completely made up story, has elements that might work for you if you wanted to use it. So if you Wikipedia Angel of Mons,
I shall look it up. See, what I've been thinking about is way up north at Hadrian's Wall, Vindolanda, that sort of area. There is a Roman stone that's been unearthed, and on it is carved an image of 3 little figures, and they're known as the Genii Cucullati, which basically means three little hooded gods. And nobody knows anything about these little characters. And I was thinking of somehow building them into my character's background.
I love it. Who says that comics can't be educational as well? Listen to that. That's fantastic. Yeah, I'm loving it. No, I mean, but this is again, as I say, both of those elements of things you can draw on. And again, Golden Heroes is meant to be. It's some it's quite vague. And again, as I say, things like the immortality thing gives you a specific benefit. However, if you were to simply say that, yes, so let's say your character touched that stone that was uncovered and was inhabited by the spirit of one of those beings. That's the kind of thing that you, as you know, and it's great having Kevin on this team, because Kevin's the man for the knowledge of this stuff, which is way above mine. But again, this is the great thing about having this Golden Heroes, because it's specifically, well, it's not specifically British set, but it's always, to me, it's always, it was written by British authors. To me, it is the British superhero game. So for me, it's always been set in the UK, and it draws upon our heritage and our traditions. And those are great ideas. And again, there's your origin. She's touched a mystical stone and has been infused with mystical powers. It
could have been an archaeologist working on on Hadrian's Wall.
On the digs up there, could be.
Yeah.
Yeah. If you wanted to, and if you wanted to rationalize the gymnastics, either it's a power, or it's simply that she was a gymnast. That's her hobby. She's a gymnast. So
former Olympic gymnast turned archaeologist, messing around the wall.
Well, a gymnast, Olympians have got to do something once they go beyond a certain age, right? They, can't be a gymnast forever. But or it's simply that the powers have come to her, and she's an archaeologist, a bookish archaeologist who's been infused with this ancient warrior's abilities. I mean, all of those, that all fits perfectly, sensibly. Just one other thing to mention was the claws, which, as I say, although it says claws,
an archaeologist's dream, obviously.
Yeah, of course. And you can interpret that any way you like. But basically what it means functionally with claws is it means that you have, it literally means that you have talons, claws, or blade-like weapons. So again, it doesn't need to. So for example, you could argue that Batman's gauntlets with his, he has those blades on his gauntlets. They could function as claws because they're bladed weapons basically. So again, her claws don't have to be. She's literally got claws. It could be that she wears gloves that have got claws on, or it could be that she's got, her gauntlets have got razor, razor sharp blades built into them. It's again, the rationale is pretty easy to make, and I think that's a really good way to go. And again, going back to Mike again, yeah, I mean everything we've said about that guy being he's a super soldier.
I'm trying. I just want to clarify something in my head because I've got a lot thinking about something. Weapon skill. So that's both ranged and hand to hand, isn't it?
Right. So with weapon skill basically it means you're skilled in the use of one particular weapon. So let's say you're going to go with you said like rifle or whatever. So
because that's the idea. Yeah, go on.
So grade 1, the chosen weapon, whether a melee or missile type. So melee would be like a sword or a knife, and missile will be a bow or a gun. Does the normal damage for the weapon type and strikes in the normal time, but in one mode of use only, either melee or missile, chosen when the character is first generated. Character's attacks are at weapon class 4. So what weapon class 4 just means is it's easier for you to hit with it.
Yeah.
If you have if your weapon is a shield, so Captain America, a shield has 3 modes of use, which are melee because he can use it to bash people with. It's missile because he can throw it, and it also has the mode of defense because it acts as a parry. And if you're using a shield, then the first mode you choose that you get the bonus on must be defense. But because you've got grade 2, you get grade 2 gives you a damage modifier of +2 in the chosen mode. So if it's missile, or let's say it's missile, because a rifle is likely to be a 2-handed weapon, you get a +5 damage, or you can choose it in both melee and missile to strike at weapon class 4. So you can either have the bonus to damage, or it simply is better to hit with in 2 types of operation.
Because this is what I'm thinking. Sort of like, I didn't like the idea because 1, he's a superhero, and 2, he's British. I didn't really like the idea of him carrying a rifle around. So what I was thinking was having, sort of like a police day stick, where it's sort of like the L-shaped.
Oh, my old favourite, the truncheon.
Yeah, that.
The
I don't know what it is. The what?
Yes, is it the one with you've got a handle and a stick coming from it that goes under your arm that you can swing round?
Yeah, baton. Like I call it a baton.
It's a tonfa.
So what I was thinking was something like that, and that would be my hand-to-hand thing. But it's also got a rifle mechanism built inside it.
Yeah, sure.
So it's a bit chunky. So it's a dual-use weapon. But
it has like a one shot. He can fire it as a gun because it fires out a projectile, but he also uses it as I mean, absolutely.
Because again, that fits in. Yeah, that doesn't. It's not. He's not carrying around a rifle, which doesn't seem very superhero.
Absolutely
fine.
So but you say that the and also what you could argue is
let's stop using the word rifle. It's a ranged weapon. It gives him a ranged weapon.
What we could specify is then that you could say that the weapon only does. We'll look at the stats. I'll look at the available weapons, and we'll come up with something that does more hits to coma damage. So in other words, it's not like a lethal weapon. It's going to probably the idea is it shoots a projectile that kind of knocks somebody out, but it's not a bullet. It shoots a club essentially, or that totally fine.
As I say, it's the idea of sort of like it doesn't look like a gun, but he can use it as a rifle, if that makes sense.
No, excellent idea. And again, I totally agree with you about the the Britishness of the weapon and the
because the other thing is I'm thinking about his costume. It's just sort of like
the 80s. It could fire plastic or rubber bullets.
There you go, rubber bullet. Yeah, there you go. Fires rubber bullets. Perfect. Especially if he's been in the Troubles in Northern Ireland.
Yeah, he's also got a theme tune then, doesn't he?
Yep.
He fires rubber bullets.
Yep. 10cc classic.
Yep. Yep.
Yeah. No, there you go. That's the sort of thing, and you can see how again, just how these choices kind of help you kind of write the story of the character.
Yeah. Oh, you've done it now. I know what his name is.
What?
10cc. That's how much serum he took. That's turned him into what it is, and he fires rubber bullets. Job
I
done.
mean, I'm a fan of that. Works for me. Listen, I've got characters in my I've got a character called Blur. That's one of my Golden Heroes characters who's literally he's a super speedster, but he's named because of Blur. And I've got a couple of characters named after XTC songs. So,
but you know,
yeah.
as I say, the idea I've got for his costume is sort of like like the green jumpers, military jumpers you'd have with sort of like the woolen jumpers with the pads on the shoulders and the armpits.
I know exactly what you mean. Yeah.
Yeah.
And sort of like a red beret.
Yeah.
And maybe,
okay, so let's give Kevin his chance. So go on, Kev, hit us with it.
Okay, so 2 parts of the UK, Glanaventa and Innis Mons. Glanaventa sets the scene during the Roman occupation. The Legion are set around the naval port, which is modern day Ravenglass. From the mountains, some Roman legionnaires bring forth what they find is this weird looking object. It's the biggest claw they've ever seen. Still has flesh on it. They believe it's a dragon's claw. It is given to the prefect of that Roman port. He passes it along to Agricola as a gift from the mountains of the Glanoventa area, which is essentially the Lake District. Around 54 AD, Agricola and his troops are setting their sights on the ancient druid fastness of Innis Mon. One Aniron is anointed by the Druid Council of Merthin, Hengist, and Blaze. He is dipped in Llyn Carreg Bark, the Lake of Small Stones. Part of his spirit remains in there, and he is sent on a special mission to kill Agricola. So whilst the Roman troops are standing on the Menai Straits, firing their bows and arrows at the crazy druids, who are casting magic at them, Aniron sneaks into the Roman camp and attempts to kill Agricola. This goes horribly wrong. Agricola fights Aniron off and, using this giant claw, stabs him. Doesn't kill him, but stabs him. Aniron is taken back to Rome for a fate worse than death. What happens is the dragon claw that the Romans dug up in the mountains, along with his trapped spirit, has given Aniron an innate magical ability, what with him being a druid. That sheer loss of luck, imbued with the dragon claw, has given him now a lucky streak. How long that's going to last, don't know, but that's that probability manipulation.
Mm-hmm.
He's lucky. The dragon has somehow imbued itself within Aniron, so he can shape change into a dragon with claws.
Can I make a observation or suggestion?
Yeah.
Maybe a fragment of that claw is what Sarah Jane's character's got.
It would make sense that the two
Possibly
are sort of linked somehow.
I'm not on about the full dragon, the full ability.
Yeah.
But it's just she's part of her claws are the same thing.
Yeah.
It's come from the same source.
In the intervening years, he has been wandering around looking for the 4 ancient objects of Ireland and the 13 treasures of Great Britain.
Well, I mean, can I just say, Kev, I really wish you'd given it a bit more thought. To be honest,
No, but so this is like three. This is like three different scenarios that are half
Talk
written.
about a half-assed
Yeah.
concept that you've given no thought to. You know.
Oh, Clan Adventure, that would have made a fantastic Leagues of Cthulhu adventure. But also,
I mean,
the Llyn Carrig Bark, the Lake of Small Stones, is classic Druid shit. And that Menai Straits, and it's
real.
Menai Straits, and that attack. Agricola did attack the Menai Straits, and he did see this wall of screaming women that were the female Druidesses. They just waded across and slaughtered them. That side. So, yeah. Once you see the magic, Druid's fantastic. I've got part of that.
I mean,
and obviously,
yeah.
shape-shifting, I can squeeze Clan Adventure in there.
I don't really have much to add to that other than yep.
I must admit, I had an idea for a dragon character some time ago, which was it was basically sort of like a Batman type clone, but the guy was actually a young dragon. The rest of the dragons are sort of like left Earth, and the archaeologist found an egg, and so now that's why he considers London his manor, if you know what I mean. That's his area. Nobody messes around with it. But
Vortigern's dragons. That was Vortigern had. That was Merlin's story about Vortigern fighting the red and white dragon under the ground, which is Wales,
But the thing is, this dragon is, because it's only a youngster, so it can turn into like human form. It has a human form, and that's what Anyway, sorry.
So on top of that, the magic, astral projection, energy strike, mystic shield, enhancement, taking energy strike as my speciality spell.
Astral
projection,
energy strike,
energy strike as my speciality. I have two speciality spells.
Yeah, and what was your third one?
Mystic shield, and then enhancements.
Oh, mystic shield.
I've got enhancements. No, so no speciality still. Yeah, one speciality because of grade 2. Don't pick the second speciality, but go for the blast using an excess of 10 magic points in one action.
Okay, so gimmick excess. Make a note of that. Excess.
And the energy strike with flames, obviously.
Okay, flames, energy strike, flames. Right, so. So you've got 15 magic points at grade 1. So grade 2, do you want to just roll me a d10? Give me that first of all to take you up to grade 2.
Where's we'll do it here.
Yeah. 7. So that's so 20. That takes you up to 22. And then for grade 3, you've gone with the 10 magic points. That doesn't give you the extra. So you've got 22 magic points over 5 rounds. And you can spend excess of 10 in one action. So have I read that right? Yeah, because that's grade 2 gives you 15 plus 1d10, which you've done. And it says no more than 10. So you've taken the grade 3 option of.
So the 10 is the blast using an excess of 10 in magic points in one action.
But you've got 22 magic points to spend over the 5 rounds.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. And I've got astral projection, energy strike, flames, mystic shield. And enhancement. Perfect. Right, lovely. So let me just summarize where we are. So going through the character sheets at the moment. So Kevin's got his magical character, which again, that sounds all good to me. And I've made a note of those powers. Sarah Jane, you've got your ancient warrior character, which again is brilliant. I'm a sucker for that stuff, excellent. It works perfect. It works really well for me, that does. And we've got Mike, who's the the tragic super soldier. Who potentially called 10cc, which I think is a genius name. Right. Okay. So as we go on.
So no, the idea being is that's how much serum.
Yeah, that's much of the serum he's taken. Right. So that's fantastic. So we've got 3 really good characters there. You've got a heavy hitter, the magic. You've got the magic dragon guy, who's obviously he's like your Superman. Dude, you've got and then you've got 2 fighters with different skill sets. Now, what I'll do is, obviously, unfortunately for those listening, Karen couldn't make it tonight. I'll reach out to Karen separately. I'll see how he wants to handle it. I'll offer him a 1-to-1 if he wants to jump on with me another night, and I'll go through the same process with him, which is a pleasure because again, I this this game is Kevin and I both love this game, and I mean going through this stuff is no chore. And again, I'm delighted that it's worked out so well because again, you've seen your creativity, the three of you there is brilliant, and this is what this game kind of brings out of you. This is stuff you didn't have those ideas before we turned up tonight, and look at where we've ended up with some really sort of unique and interesting characters. So I'm really happy with that. So that's the first thing. So again, I will go off and I will transcribe what we've done so far onto some character sheets, which, like I say, you can then use which I'll prepare for you. So what I'd ask you to do maybe is to have a think about. So the next thing to think about is something like appearance. Now, when I've been doing my random characters, I've been using an AI tool called Leonardo, which is a free AI image generator. So if you have any kind of inkling or interest in that kind of area, I can recommend it. You don't need to sign up for any. There's no account. You can use your Google account, and you get 150 tokens a day. And it works through prompt generation. And you say, I tend to use the prompt, hand drawn comic book style image of a male superhero with a blue cloak, standing on a rooftop, blah blah blah, that kind of thing. If you're familiar with AI art generation, feel free to go and have a play around with that if you want to try and visualize your character. I personally think, I don't know how Kevin feels about this, but I personally think superhero games are one area where it's really important to have an image of your character, because I think superheroes are very visual. I mean, none of us, I'm no great artist. I've used AI art because it's just easy, and because I've been doing, I'm planning to do 52 characters in a year. There's no way I'm drawing 52 characters. I'm sure Kevin will probably be able to draw a character himself. Kevin's a great artist.
And the map of where he lives.
Yeah, don't get me started. Yeah, exactly. Sore point. But I'm also happy if you want to just, either send me an idea, or if you want to have a go at draw it yourself, totally fine. If you want to try the AI generator, I'm more than happy to send you details. I'll put some details on the WhatsApp group in the next day or two to tell you how to find that. The other option is you can just Google it. I mean, I quite often just go on and Google, I don't know, female superhero with bow, see what comes back. Because yes, you'll find some, established comic book characters, but you'll also find plenty of people just do comic book art. It's really up to you how you want to do it. I would just encourage you to try and come up with some sort of artwork. I mean, again, I'm happy to help you with the AI thing if you want. If you want to just send me a description, I'll try and come up with an AI image for you. Or again, if you just want to send me a sketch or just find something online, totally fine.
Luckily, D&D do the perfect character.
Yeah, so Kevin, I'm sure will send me a picture of that. That works for
me.
Oh, of course you've just done it. Oh yeah, okay. Yeah, all right, that works. I can use that.
That's apart from the staff.
Yeah, I can work with that. That's perfect. I can edit the staff out. Actually, that's fine. Yeah, brilliant. There you go. So there's an example that Kevin's just sent to the STA group. That's exactly the same thing. Again, it doesn't have to be. It doesn't have to be.
There's actually a character class, a dragon, a circle of dragons druid.
Dragonborn or something.
Is it? Well, you can wild shape into a dragon. Yeah, Circle of Dragons is an old order of druids. That's so useful. There you go.
Yeah. So there you go. So that's exactly the sort of thing. I find a little bit of Googling, a little bit of can come up with something. But again, I just encourage you to have a think about that. And the only other thing maybe is if you wouldn't mind, again, just jotting me down a few lines of a background and just send it over. I mean, again, you've covered it all pretty much today. But if you want to have a think about it and just put something down and come up with a name. Obviously, a name's important as well. As Mike's 10cc, well, I think it's great. But again, a name is important. And again, I'm happy to let you come up with a name. And we'll we'll kind of work on that over the next couple of weeks. I will post up about, as I say, I'll deal with Kevin and hopefully get him sorted out. I'll fill him in on where we are with the characters, and if that gives him any guidance on what to go for. Couple of things just to say about the setting. So I haven't really talked about that, but Golden Heroes, as I say, is set. The game came out in 84, so I'm kind of going with an 84, 85 setting. My Golden Heroes setting is what I call New London. So in my superhero world, it's like our world, with the usual superhero exceptions, is that there is higher tech in some areas than would be common for the time, just purely because of there being, super geniuses. There are aliens. There are secret government research labs, all this kind of thing. So in my setting, London was in the Blitz in World War II, as well as using V1 and V2 rockets. Hitler also sent Übermenschen, as he called them, or basically supermen, German super beings. Also, were on the rampage.
How many did he send? 9. How many did he send?
How many did he send? 9.
You're welcome.
Oh God.
I know. And he sent a combination of World War II technology, created beings, as well as mythic, as well as Valkyrie, and using magic to conjure up. And basically, what the result was
From
that
the moon. Please God,
London was pretty badly, not from the moon. They might have ended up on the moon, but London was pretty badly trashed, and as a result was rebuilt much more heavily than the real London was. So that the London of the 1980s, or as it's called, New London, is a combination of traditional London skyline and buildings, but with bigger, there are more bigger buildings, office buildings, skyscrapers, because the city was much more damaged than it was in reality. So that just gives an excuse for a slightly different skyline. And but generally, other than that, it's kind of the same. It's the same as our world. As I say, one other question to think about as well is whether or not these characters have already formed as a team. We can cover that next time, because again, it's assumed, because you're going to be functioning together, that you are working as some sort of a team. But are you things to think about, which again we don't need to decide right now, but things to think about are, is this a team? Are they a team that have been brought together by the government? So in other words, are they sanctioned? Are they simply a group of super beings who have sort of banded together? So what you were saying, what Mike had mentioned about Sarah Jane and the Claw, could it be that those two mythical based characters have come together because of their, kind of shared or, similar origins? That, could it be that, Mike, that these have been sanctioned by the government and Mike has been put with them as a sort of government representative? These are all options, or it could just be that they're not even functioning as a team at this point, and that when you go on your first adventure, that you simply come together because of circumstances, and you decide to work as a team afterwards. Again, this is all stuff to think about, but none of it is critical to the game. So I think we've kind of covered everything I needed to cover for tonight. We've got some characters. I'll go and get sheets written up over the next couple of weeks. So if I can just ask you all to have a think about name, image, if you can find something just to give us an idea. Anyone got any questions though, other than this? I hope you've enjoyed going through that character creation tonight. I certainly have enjoyed it, and it's always great to hear your creativity fire, which I think it really has done. Has anybody got any questions or comments?
No.
Not top of my head, no.
I just want to know what an Iron does next.
What? Sorry?
I just want to know what an Iron does next.
I'm hunting for the 13 treasures of Great Britain. I've got a lead on the Sword of Rather Kale. Last seen being chucked in a lake in Cornwall.
Well,
classified. If I tell you, I'll have to kill you.
Allegedly, it's Gwynhavet. Can't pronounce it. The Excalibur, the early Welsh Excalibur.
Ah.
And then you've got the 4 magical bits in Ireland: a spear, a stone.
Kev, did you say you were
Probably
going with the name Aniron? Is that, did I get that right?
Aniron, yes, Aniron, as in
A
Aniron
N
Bevan.
A N I
Aneeurin, an ancient druid, Aniron.
Anurin. Yeah, Aniron.
And
Okay, fine.
yeah,
An iron.
I think
Okay.
Aniron Bevan, but it's actually an earlier. He
And
stole the
I
name.
guess he won't have an alternate ID, right? Because he's just that person.
Well, I don't, because the other thing that played into this was the Black Druid, but I don't particularly want to be related to Jonathan Richardson. So, but I like the idea of taking some of the names, like the Fire of Minthrax, All of the Wild Brother, and the Green Bonds of Gilgamesh, Gilgamesh, as kind of linking in with the actual spells, as it were. But no, an iron kind of works. There is a
Can we call you Nye for short?
Nye, yeah, Nye. And I get so annoyed with the fact that people are saying Nye. Like Bevan. No, Bevan's named after me.
No, that's cool. And again, given the 80s setting as well, that's probably more relevant than it would be now as well, isn't it?
Was Aniron Bevan still alive in the 80s?
I'm pretty sure, wasn't he?
I don't
I'd have to look it
know.
up.
45, probably.
It seems right.
He in addition to the obviously the NHS, he did have a really classic turn of phrase when it comes to Tories. I consider them lower than vermin. Oh, he died in the 60s.
He did.
I died in the
6th of July
60s.
1960.
Yeah.
Well, of course, I mean that's the official story, but of course,
That's what they
Yeah.
said.
that Porton Down. There's many secrets at Porton Down. So who knows?
So we could go with Mfanwi Bevan, lady's name. We almost called my middle daughter Mfanwi, but we realised that if we're going to move to England, Mfanwi, kids are going to just that's going to be
You know
bad.
what would happen.
It's not ideal.
No, Blood Winter. Okay.
I mean,
But
we
nice.
could just wind Kevin up and just let him go all night, basically. But all right, right. So I'm really happy though. I'm really chuffed with that. That's great. We've got three really good characters there, and I mean they are distinctive. There's a bit of a shared, there's a bit of a mystical link, which is never a bad thing to have a link between characters. I'm also really just liking just 10 cc is just brilliant. I just love that. The more I think about that, the more I like it. So like I say, I will
just a thought, if you want to connect us all together, then just say that the super serum's based off was ground up claw or something like that. That was part of the ingredients.
Maybe that's a good idea.
Tie us all together.
I don't hate that idea. Actually, there's one more thing we forgot to do, and I'm glad I remembered before we finish. I alluded to earlier on about there being mountains of dice for this thing. So as we've mentioned, you will have this vigor score, and the way that your hits to coma and hits to kill. Now, it depends how you want to do this. Now, I'm more than happy to just randomly, because I've got an online dice roller, I can just go and roll it for you. Or if you want to roll it now, keep me honest. I'm more than happy if you want to just go to that dice roller. And the way it works is you just have to roll a number of d6s equal to your vigor. So Sarah Jane, it would be 20. Mike, it would be 14, and Kev, it would be 13.
What, D10s is it, or D6s?
No, D6s. And what I need is I need a roll of each for. Oh, that's not going to help though, is it? Because that's not going to give you a total unless you've added those up really quickly.
No, it'll give me all those.
Oh, it doesn't add them up for me.
Yeah, no, you might be better off. Have you got the? Did you go to the actual online dice roller? You do it there.
No, I didn't.
Well, listen. I mean, it's up to you. Or if I'm not being funny, if you want to just go off and roll them, find some d6s and roll them yourself. I mean, I'm fine with that. Just send me the totals. Like I say, all I need is from your. As I say, I'll get these character sheets written up as they are at the moment, and I'll post them up. And all I need is vigor roll. So the same number of d6 as your vigor. So like I say, 20 for Sarah Jane, 13, and obviously it's the total of those. So it's roll 20 d6, give me the total.
88.
Okay, so that's 88 for your hits to kill, and then do the same again for hits to coma. Yeah, do me another 20.
No, I only just finished adding all those up in my head. Okay, I'll report back in a minute.
Right, Mike, do you want to? Have you found that online, or have you got a dice roller that you use online that you want to use, or?
Nah, I was just going to roll these again, but I just
Fine, just roll them and just send me the numbers later. That's fine. But I need, as I say, I need 2 totals. One's for hits to kill, one's for hits to coma. It's up to you if you want to tell me which is which, or if you just want to give me the first and second. And again, just to be clear, hits to kill is your kind of physical body damage, and if you get to 0, you're dead. And hits to coma is your kind of temporary damage. It's your stun damage, if you like.
So how many dice am I rolling?
So you're rolling 13.
13.
Yeah, so I need 2 totals.
I got 75, and I've only just realised that it does
75.
give you the sum.
That's fine. 75. So you've got 88 hits to kill. 75.
Doesn't give you the sum, does it?
What's that?
It does.
Doesn't give-
Underneath, if you're on the calculator.net dice roller, below the bottom dice, it says sum 75 on where I'm looking.
Yeah.
Mine doesn't.
I didn't spot it when I first rolled them. I've only added up 2 lots of 20 dice and just seen it now.
Yeah.
No, mine doesn't. Okay, anyway, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. 29, 32, 38.
When was those links, Steve?
47, 50.
So 50 hits to kill, and then do you want to do hits to coma for me? What was that, Mike? Sorry?
Where were those links?
So if it's in the chat. So
general.
again, general chat, but don't click
11,
on the voice,
12,
general voice, go to chat.
12.
And it's the second link, which is calculator.net, or if you just Google calculator.net, that will take you to it as well.
Okay.
And it's a virtual dice roller. So calculator.net under other, and it's called dice roller. And in there's a non-conventional dice roller, which is you pick the sides of your dice. So set that to 6, and then you type in, then you select the number of dice you're rolling. You click start, and then it will randomly roll them. And click stop, and it will give you a total.
If you do it twice, then the sum comes up. So my second sum, after counting it up, is 55. First time that figure wasn't there. So the second time you roll it, it comes
55. So you've got 50 hits to kill, 55 hits to coma. Sarah Jane has got 88 hits to kill, 75 hits to coma, which is totally right because you've got 20 vigor. So Mike, whenever you're ready, you can hit me with those. That'd be great.
Yeah, it's just, I don't know, it's taking me financial calculators, math calculators.
Well, okay. I mean,
I'll ignore it. I'll just roll it later on.
Yeah, fine. Just send me the numbers on the chat. That's fine. I can add them onto the sheet. Like I say, I'll get around to starting writing the sheets up in the next couple of days.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, I just wanted to summarise again, just to say that went really well for me. I hope you found that fun. I know there's not been any actual gaming tonight other than rolling stuff up, but I always think Golden Heroes character creation is a little game in itself, really. So, and here we go. We've got some really cool characters, I think. So, Mike, are you still rolling? Sorry, or are you going to just send it to me later?
No, I'll do it later because
no problem. Right, if everyone's good, then I think we're good to go. I think we've done all we need to do tonight. So, as I say,
I've got the cheat sheet, which does the combat sequence and the weapons class and whatnot.
Yeah.
That's once I've found that, I'll post that.
I think I can probably do that.
You've got one of those? Because I can't. I've got it. Show it somewhere.
Well, I'm also going to. Yes, Mike.
One last thing. I did decide on the skill. I'm going to go for gymnastics.
Okay.
If he's a super soldier, he's sort of like.
So no, that works because again, it doesn't mean it. Yes, exactly that. It means he's agile. Yes, exactly. He's had trainers. That's perfectly fine. That works for me.
Okay.
Yeah, and like I say, I will get these character sheets written up as they stand, and then I'll go through and do the math that I need. If I've got any questions that I need to ask you, I'll post them on the chat. And equally, if any of you have any questions or any clarification you need, let me know. As I say, all I would ask you to do is have a look around, see if you can come up with an image of some sort to send me, which would be great. Kevin's already sent me one, and a name. We've got so far we've got 10cc, and we've got
Anirin.
I'm never going to pronounce it right. And then so Sarah Jane, I'll just leave that with you to come up with a name at some point. Again,
I will think
whatever
of something.
works for you. Yeah, no problem. And the plan will be then in 3 weeks' time, we will be convening to do the first scenario, which is called Crossfire. And as I say, we will then take these characters out for a run. So thanks again for your time this evening. Thank you for turning up for episode or session 0 of Golden Heroes.